in 1999, I met Mr. Koontz, and he wanted to start adding some properties to the property that he'd inherited from his dad, which was about 147 acres. And so the very first property that I helped him acquire was in 1999. We've been acquiring parcels ever since then to get to the almost 300 acres that we have now. Mr. Koontz first in 1999. He had inherited, round numbers, 147 acres from his family, and he had owned that for quite some time. And in 1999, we started adding to that. He came to Columbus. I met him through George Woodruff, and we started acquiring parcels, and we've done that on a pretty systematic basis up to where we are now, which is just a hair under 300 acres. Town is going back in time, not from a technology standpoint or from not having all the conveniences standpoint, but going back in time to an era that used to be, living a different pace, a different style, going back to how most of us remember growing up, with how you met your neighbors, how you talked with everybody around you, how you mingled on the street, if you will, rather than being separated from your neighbors. I think everybody should live there because it's going to be the very best place to live. The most exciting, the most fun, the most interactive in every way. I think if you have your office in Old Town, you will see that everything you want to do, you can do it within walking distance. And I think that's unique to any office environment anywhere, maybe with the exception of the downtown, uptown area. Old Town is really very much like the environment you see in a downtown area. So you could have your office there, you could walk to lunch, you could take a walk around the green, get a little exercise. You could walk to work if you like. I mean, you basically could come to Old Town, and if you had your office there, you could do everything you want to do there if you lived there as well. So I think it will afford you all of the conveniences, all of the amenities that you would want, and allow you to live at the same place you work. And I think you're going to see many professional offices there, primarily because of what I just said. I think you'll be able to do everything you want to do in that environment. I think it'll be very pleasing. Won't be the hustle and bustle of an office park, if you will. In that environment, I think what you're going to see is a much more relaxed environment that I think will be very pleasant. My absolute favorite part of Old Town is how the houses are going to look. I think it's not all brick. It really is how I remember growing up. A lot of wood, color, seeing something totally different than what we have seen in typical neighborhoods that have been developed over the last 40 years. So it is kind of going back in time as well, but to a very, very soothing look to me. I love the fact that the houses will be close together. I love the fact there'll be sidewalks and porches, that you won't pull into a garage that looks out to the street that you came from. I love the fact that all that will be hidden, and you'll be able to see houses and people and children. To me, the living environment is probably the thing that is the most appealing to me about Old Town. I think what makes Old Town so unique is its location. We visited PMUDs throughout the Southeast. Most of them, because they require a large piece of acreage, are located on the outskirts of town or the fringes of town, sometimes completely out of town. That is not the case with this. It's really in the heart of where this city is growing, and it's because the owner of the property started out with 147 acres and just added to it instead of having to go find a large piece of land to develop. You won't find 300 acres, and that's really small for a PMUD. Lots of PMUDs are 1,000 acres, so you're not going to find that large amount of acreage in the heart of a city most of the time, unless it's property that's been just sitting there not developed. And that's unique about this PMUD. The other thing is that the schools were already in place with this PMUD. Most of the ones, when they get developed, they have to build their own schools or bring schools into their development. We're located just wrapped around an elementary school, a middle school, and a high school. So I think the location within the city is what is most unique about this PMUD. Mixed-use development is just exactly what it says. It's thought out, it's planned, it's designed with a lot of forethought, a lot of meetings, a lot of effort that goes into it to get you this plan. And it's mixed use. So it's unique with that because it is single family, it is multifamily, it is office, retail and commercial, all living in the same environment, which you won't find in a normal subdivision. You'll find it in a downtown area many times, maybe not as much living there as you would find office and retail, but it is mixed with all of these, which makes it where you could really just a city within a city. A typical Saturday in Old Town to me will just be absolute hustle and bustle. In fact, when I think about it, you're going to laugh when I tell you this, I almost think about a Western where you see everybody come to town on Saturday and you've got everybody in going up and down the street in their horse and carriage. We won't have that, I don't think, but it's the hustle and bustle of that. There are people all along what would be sidewalks, but it's not sidewalks in a Western. But that's what I see, and that's what I envision on a Saturday. I see children running and playing. I see entertainment going on. I see people walking around with snow cones, children riding their bikes. I see runners. I see people coming in to shop. I just see true hustle and bustle, but in such a fun way. I think what inspired the name Old Town was just the fact that it is how things used to be. It is not an old town from a standpoint of not having all of your conveniences, but an old town feeling, which most people long for their roots. Most people love what they remember in the past. And I think that's what Old Town is. It's bringing back wonderful childhood memories in modern, up-to-date technology and living environment. Old Town benefits the city of Columbus because it is the first of its kind. I think we're also doing some real exciting things at Old Town where we've partnered with Southern Living, and I think it's going to put the city and the state on the map to be the first of its kind. We're working with the school district to try to also do some very unique things. And I really do think it's going to put this city on the map as being something so different than anything that has ever existed, but certainly different for Columbus, Georgia. It brings a tax base from an economic standpoint. It gives a choice from a style of living that does not exist here at all. And I think at the end of the day, when Old Town is completely developed, I think this city and everybody that's been a part of it is going to be so proud to call Old Town a part of Columbus, Georgia. Partnered with Southern Living to do what is the first of its kind. It's called a Southern Living inspired community. Southern Living over the years has done a number of Southern Living idea homes, but this year they have kicked off a new campaign, and we are part of 6 communities. That is the first of the ones that they're doing that is a Southern Living inspired community. And it's basically taking the entire development, not just a house, but the entire development, and it being the kind of things that has made Southern Living so popular, Southern Living so successful, and incorporating that into Old Town. Partnered with Southern Living to do what is the first of its kind. It's called a Southern Living inspired community. Southern Living over the years has done a number of Southern Living idea homes, but this year they have kicked off a new campaign, and we are part of 6 communities. That is the first of the ones that they're doing that is a Southern Living inspired community. And it's basically taking the entire development, not just a house, but the entire development, and it being the kind of things that has made Southern Living so popular, Southern Living so successful, and incorporating that into Old Town.
So the next part, the say something nice about. Wendy mentioned historical concepts, but I've got here Leary and Brown, David English, fourth grade, and Jason Tabb. Anyone else you can think of?
Well, let me speak. I'd like to speak to Leary and Brown.
Okay.
I think Leary and Brown brings such a tremendous benefit to Old Town. They are home builders of the highest quality. They built my house. And I was so pleased with every bit of the construction. I was so pleased with how they handled everything and how they took care of me. I think everybody that builds in Old Town, and Leary and Brown is their builder, will have exactly the same experience that I had on my personal home. They are definitely a company of integrity. They have a wonderful reputation in the city and have been around for, more years than I know. I think the ones that are there now, actually, their grandparents were involved in it. But it's a great partnership to have Leary and Brown part of Old Town.